Good evening, guys. Hello there, Mark. Hello, Drew. As far as I know, I can only see 2 of you at the moment, and now we're up to 5 viewers, so I hope everyone is very well tonight. So we're going to look at some quite interesting news regarding the coronavirus, of course, and the lack of preparation on behalf of Boris Johnson's government. But let's wait for a few more people to come on the stream. Hi, Herbie. Hope you're well. Unfortunately, it just says 5 viewers, so I hope that's going to go up. Yes, up to 12. So guys, hit the like button. It helps more people. It helps promote the stream. Hi Levy, hope you're well. Thanks for your videos. You're welcome. Thank you for your comment. Glasgow Kiss, welcome back. Joshua, hi, hope you're well. John, welcome. Jan Rohrer, welcome. Rayor, I know I'm mispronouncing your name. I don't know if it's Jan or Jan. Sir Boris, I'm early because I subscribed for this goodness. Great. Early tonight, Mrs. Chuck you in bedroom. I was going to start at 10:30 here, but then I decided, look, I better start at 10 instead. Also because Twitter, I don't have a Twitter account anymore, so if you were following me on Twitter, you wouldn't get a notification, unfortunately. Magister, welcome. Brian, hi. Sam, welcome. I hope everyone is well. I hope you're fine. No one is infected. So we're up to 21 viewers. I don't know if you guys see more than 21 viewers, but at the moment I just see 21 viewers. So I've put in a new hamster into the modem, so hopefully the connection will not drop like last week or last time. Hi David, welcome to the stream. Smash that like button, yes please. 29. That's great. So we're going up. Please hit the like button. That helps promote the stream and get some more people on board. Berger Johansson, welcome. Hello from Sweden, and stay safe. Thank you. Stay safe in Sweden. I saw that numbers are starting to increase also in Sweden, which is worrying. How's it going for the mankini? Don't forget to feed the hamster. Yes, I gave him lots of hamster food. I don't know. What do you normally give to hamsters? Bread? No. John. Welcome, John. Jacques, welcome. Is Fine Gael going to cling on to power? Fine Gael are doing quite well at the moment, so I think perhaps it will be the case. Yes, Jacques. Richard, welcome. Is it me or have the trolls suddenly gone turbo on comments lately? There is one particular guy who likes to comment, James Berry. So he likes to comment a lot on my videos. Lenny, welcome. Please start doing more on Trump. It is by far the best, I assume. Richie Allen, welcome. So I want to talk also about Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders endorsement, which is important for Joe Biden and how that went. So, but I saw today the complete meltdown from Donald Trump, and it's not looking good. James talks a lot without saying much. That's right. I'm living in Denmark. Schools will start to reopen tomorrow. Yes, here in Italy, they're talking about reopening some stationery shops, clothes shops for children. There are some actual stores that sell only children's clothes, so they will open. But no bars or restaurants yet. Creepy Joe. Yeah, the press conference, although long or fascinating. Fascinating is an interesting word to use. Biden won't make it to November. Watch out for Cuomo. Yeah, I think there is talk that they may replace Joe Biden with Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo he's somewhat like Rudy Giuliani is, not now, but when he was the mayor of New York in 2001, following the attacks. Extremely popular all over the world, and I think Andrew Cuomo is in a similar sort of position at the moment. Max had to flee London with 2 kids and wife there 3 weeks ago before the restrictions were in place. We lived there for 7.5 years. I have no faith in their government. The building sites are all open. That's insane. But we remember Cheltenham as well. But it's crazy you had to flee. I'm sorry to hear that. I am the Senate. King Trump, a wielder of absolute authority, you mean, is absolutely insane. This idea... Sorry, let me take a step back. Republicans have always run on being the defenders of the Constitution. And they had always claimed that Obama was overreaching. Obama was acting like a dictator. And now that Trump does it, complete and utter silence. And Trump even comes out and says, I have authority. I have more authority than the governors. I have more authority than the states. And when he says it, absolute silence. No, where are all these constitutionalists? Where are all these libertarians within the Republican Party or online even? Complete silence from all of them. It's just a sham. Once, if Obama... I remember one of the biggest scandals was Obama wearing a tanned suit. A tanned coloured suit. It went on for months about that. And Trump is talking about ruling pretty much by decree and complete and utter silence from Republicans over it. He has more fake tan than anyone in the States. Night Raven, welcome to the stream. Jerry, welcome. Hi, Alan. Alan Nolan, welcome. Sean, welcome to the stream. Sorry if I didn't say hello before. Goldfinger, welcome back. Beer, welcome. Great name. The tan suit after Labor Day crazy. That's all they got. That's all they had on Obama. Leafbone, not according to the 10th Amendment. He doesn't have complete power. But what he does is he pretends to have complete power. Then he goes on Fox News and they say, yeah, you have complete power, and if you don't, you deserve it. And his supporters cheer that. Yeah, that tan suit hoopla was when I knew the GOP had lost their mind. Pictures of other presidents wearing tan suit. It was loony. The Democratic establishment shot itself in the foot with their appointed Lord Buckethead Biden with the appeal of a tree stump. I don't know if you guys had seen the endorsement by Bernie Sanders of Joe Biden, and they did a live stream. And Bernie Sanders came out and said, look, I'm going to endorse you, and I'm going to give you all of my support. We have to defeat Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the greatest threat to this country. And Joe Biden responded, and from what I heard, he was responding using a teleprompter. You see that and I'm worried about this, he seems to not be able to respond to something in real time. Everything has to be prepared for him to speak about. QA Library, welcome to the stream. Any news on your Twitter? No. So guys, if you're interested to know, some of you, maybe you're not interested, it's not really related to you or related to YouTube, but so I got kicked off Twitter. So I did a live stream here on Friday evening, and I had closed down the live stream. I had said goodnight to everyone and thanks to everyone. And I had switched off everything, and I had just checked my phone, and I had seen an email from Twitter. And I opened the email, and it said your account has been suspended. So I said, what the hell is this about? So I opened the email and the message from Twitter, and I went to the comment that I had published on Twitter that caused me to be banned, or to be suspended, I should say. And it was related to a comment that I made, I think it was sometime in March, where, yes, Twitter bad boy, where Boris Johnson, now it's probably correct that I got suspended for what I had said, but let me explain. So Boris Johnson had been talking about how the British people should just take it on the chin regarding the coronavirus. Just take it on the chin, stiff upper lip. And he had also been talking about how he had gone into a hospital and shook hands with people. Now, you probably have read about this. You've heard about this, how a few weeks ago he went into a hospital, allegedly. So this is the problem with Boris Johnson. You don't know whether it's true. Some people say it was a lie, that he actually went into a hospital and shook hands with people who were infected with coronavirus. But he said it at that podium that he would give his address to the public every day. He said, I shook hands with people who were infected with coronavirus, or in the hospital that there were cases of coronavirus. And he also said, we have to take it on the chin. And I got pretty upset about this. And I wrote on Twitter, I said, look, at this stage, I hope he gets it. And a few weeks later, my Twitter account has been suspended. So what I did was I appealed it, and I wrote in the appeal, I said, look, I made the comment, it was a joke. So I said it was a joke when I made this comment. Of course it was a joke, but I have said since then that I hope Boris Johnson gets better. I hope he's fine. I don't want him anything bad to happen to him. But of course, Twitter didn't see it that way, and my account has been suspended. So I looked at my account today. I have zero followers, and I'm following 0 people. I can view comments on Twitter, but I can't post anything. So, and they don't tell you how long you have to wait, or if you're going to be unsuspended. But at the moment, I don't know anything. They just send you a generic email saying you thank you for your request. Your request is being processed, being considered. So that's all, and now I have to wait. So unfortunately for my live streams, normally when I start the live stream, it opens a comment on Twitter to say that there's a live stream. So unfortunately, I don't have that functionality anymore. And I communicated with a lot of people on Twitter, and I received a lot of information and updates from, for example, QA Library on Twitter, who was extremely helpful. But until my account is reinstated, I'm off the grid in a way. So I understand, why they said it shouldn't be acceptable. They said it was abusive language. So I understand that, and in a way I somewhat agree, but I was being sarcastic in a way, or I was making a joke. My account got suspended for 12 hours in February because of a response to someone else's rant about PSM. My daily rants about the specific royal are just intolerable. Yet somebody reported me. I actually got suspended for something similar about 6 months ago. But the problem is that you don't receive a notification immediately, or not for me anyway. So it could be you post something and then 6 months later you get suspended for it. When the context could have changed. I wouldn't dare write something about Boris Johnson now. But at the time, I was quite angry with him. Excuse me, don't worry, I'm fine. But I was quite angry because he had been laughing and joking about this. It was complete indifference. It was all a big game to him. And I got angry with him because I had seen what was happening here in Italy. And I was pleading in a way with people, you need to do something. It's important that you lock down, you implement measures. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Italy. And now the UK has superseded Italy in the trajectory of cases. I recommend you check the Different Bias at YouTube for details of systematic madness. He has documented the hypocrisy and lies of details, so the rest of us don't need to follow Bojo every day. Yeah, he's fantastic, Phil. What is the best way to send your stuff? Send you stuff. I posted a few things on Discord. I haven't been really using Discord since I was talking to you, so I'll check that out. Probably, yes, Discord would be the best. I haven't opened it really since, so I will check it out. So that's probably the best thing. Thanks a million, QA Library. I used to get the odd ban about stirring up certain football fans. I wonder. I had a 24-hour ban on Facebook for debunking 5G myth using secondary school physics. Can't appeal because they're too busy because of CV19. Twitter is not a suitable platform to do business on. No. Carrier pigeon. Yeah, he didn't take it seriously. Boris should face manslaughter charges. I think so. There was complete indifference about this serious situation, and he was not leading with a scientific approach. He was dealing with this in a similar way that Trump has been dealing with this, saying that it will be okay, and then when it arrived, backpedaling somewhat. Trump has been a complete and utter disgrace. How he had talked about it being a hoax, and then saying it was an attempt to impeach him, and then it was the numbers were going to go down to 0, and we'll be able to open up at Easter. and knowing full well that this is all the opposite, but he still went ahead with it anyway. Your anger was justified then, and even more so now as the tragedy has unfolded. It's a very narrow way at looking at the world, I think Twitter has. It's a very narrow scope, because I could say this and I would be banned, but Boris Johnson could use the platform to tell people to do X, Y, and Z. Donald Trump has a huge platform, and he routinely tells lies and tells people to do things that are against their own interests. And he has no pushback against anything he does, or pushback for that. The warmer weather was sorted out. Yeah, that was another lie by Trump. Brace 88, welcome. And the Scottish guy, welcome. Sorry, I didn't say hello to you before. Considering the unnecessary death toll, you should be angry. Hang on to your anger, and don't forget the thugs base their politics on the voting and the voters having the memory of a goldfish. That's true. Last night Trump went all out dictator mode at his press conference. Something I find really worrying is how Trump will talk complete and utter rubbish, and then they'll have the science people come up after and attempt to justify the things that Trump has said. What is the point in having Trump there? Hi, Raphael. What is the point in having Trump speak? What does he add to the discussion? How does he help the situation? He doesn't. I remember one of the more recent ones where he talked about his approval ratings. How is that relevant to people dying in New York or in other parts of the country? Max, what are your thoughts on many states in the US deciding to reopen? I think it's extremely worrying, and something we're going to talk about. I have some links I'm going to share during the live stream, which point that we should not be reopening at this point. Many states reopening, I think, is going to be a disaster, and I don't understand why there is this feeling in the US that yes, we're arriving at the top of the curve, and we're flattening it now, and things are going to get better. The problem I see with this is perhaps that's the case in New York State, but it's not the case in all of the other states. For example, Florida, I think, is going to be the next New York. Now, I'm not an expert, of course, and I haven't been following all of the news in the US. But if you look at Florida, you had a lockdown which started about a week and a half ago. Hello, Cotton Cat, welcome. You had a lockdown that started about a week and a half ago, and you have a huge elderly population there. And it's mixing with young people. So you had young people going to Florida just a few weeks ago. Many of them were turned out to be infected, and they returned to their home state. So they infected people in Florida, and then they left. And the governor of the state of Florida, who incidentally is extremely friendly with Donald Trump, and has been offered whatever assistance he needs, has completely ignored this pandemic. So I think it's going to be, I think Florida is going to be the next New York State. Cotton Cat, sorry, I just scrolled back up. Cotton Cat asked me a question. Hi Hi Max, do you think people should do a mosh pit in 10 Downing Street backyard with Boris in the middle after the crisis? Perhaps. But will Dr. Fauci get fired? That's the question. Trump is unpredictable. So Fauci could be fired, but it would look extremely bad for Donald Trump, because Fauci is the voice of reason. And people even who support Trump and support the Republican Party are looking to Fauci as the voice of reason here. They're saying, yeah, Trump is okay, but we want to hear what Fauci has to say. And I think to fire him would look extremely bad. And also, he can't just use the example or the excuse, well, he was hired by Obama, because he wasn't hired by Obama. He was hired, I think, under the Bush administration. So you can't get away with just saying, oh, well, he's an Obama guy. So I think it would look extremely embarrassing for Trump if he attempted to fire him. And I think there would be some pushback, especially from the media, and I think the media should start ignoring Trump, because he doesn't improve the situation, he makes it worse. Florida is a death camp. Greetings. Can't say for long today, nodding off to sleep. Sorry to hear that, Captain Kremen. Republican governors will do what dear leaders tells them. America's death toll will be north of 1 million. Oh my God. Some students at Liberty University, only college that I know of so far in the US that reopened, filed a class action suit against the university. Why would a university be opening now? I understand that students have exams and courses to complete, but do it online. We have seen many universities move everything online. They didn't want to do it, but it was the only solution available. And that's what the students need. I think this idea of going back into a university full of people, of course it's impossible to respect social distancing rules there. It's just asking for trouble. Ignoring doesn't work, but putting Trump on a 60-second delay from live fact checking would be a good idea. And this is another thing. At what stage have we arrived at that you have to continually fact check the President of the United States? That the President of the United States is incapable of maintaining a position where he tells the truth. He's constantly lying. He's constantly exaggerating, that he has to be fact-checked on a continuous basis. How far have we fallen that the so-called leader of the free world is completely unreliable? Liberty University is a crazy religious institution. Farwell. Okay, that explains a lot. Wasn't that Jerry Falwell, the one who... What was it Christopher Hitchens said? If he... What was it he said about Falwell? If he had been... No, if he had died... He could have been buried in a matchbox. After something like that, he could have been buried because he was so full of crap. Don't think a 60-second delay is enough for the sheer torrent of BS that he spouts now. So I think the best would be just to switch him off, just to ignore him. Don't broadcast him. But then I think at that stage, the only broadcasting would be probably Fox News, and they would broadcast whatever Trump wants to say without any checks and balances. Those are not that. Those are nasty questions. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. That's a nasty question. You're a nasty reporter. These are people whose job is to keep you in check. Fava beans or Chianti, because the mango Mussolini could feed the UK. He's that fat. I think all the US press should attend the conference dressed up as Trump and ape him by calling him fake news and a terrible person. That'd be fantastic to see, actually, Bear Goggler. You can see Trump raging within and just wanting to be allowed to give the order to arrest some of those reporters. He's turned the US into a banana republic in a way. Not the entire country, but at least the presidency has been the equivalence of Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. You know, reporters ask the wrong question and they don't appear at the next press conference because they have been put in prison or for, I don't know, insulting the president or whatever. I'm surprised he's not going that far. Is Trump the worst president ever, or is it too early to call? So this is an interesting question, Briss88. You know, over 10 years ago, I would have said, 15 years ago, I would have said, Bush is the worst president, and there's not going to be anyone worse than that. And then Trump came along, and now we're saying, well, there's nobody could be worse than Trump. And I think we keep setting the bar as low as possible, but somebody manages to fit under that bar. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. If you can give a donation, that's fantastic. If you can't, smash that like button. Thanks a lot, Glasgow Kiss. So, is Trump the worst? Probably the worst so far, but the situation that created the possibility for Trump has existed for many years. So the destruction of the middle class, the complete indifference towards working families and the Rust Belt, for example, created a fertile ground for someone like Trump to grow. And I'm afraid if Joe Biden wins, he's going to attempt to go back to normal, and that's going to create a scenario where someone like Trump could come along again. And it could be much worse than Trump. It could be someone who's like Trump but not so stupid, and that would be extremely dangerous. Someone who pretends to be stupid but is actually quite clever. Maybe someone like Boris Johnson. I sometimes see Boris Johnson as someone who appears stupid but is actually quite cunning and cruel, while Trump is just a narcissist and he doesn't understand reality, and in a way he allows people to drive him in a certain direction. But is Trump evil? I don't know. He's not a good person. He doesn't have a caring bone in his body, I know. But is he malicious? Yes, as well. But is he the type of leader who could become a dictator? Probably not. I think fortunately in the US, there are enough mechanisms to stop someone like Trump becoming a dictator. But I think it's because of his own failings, because of his own narcissism. His own ignorance has thwarted his attempts to become something like a dictator. Virginia pastor who defiantly held church service dies of coronavirus weeks after proudly showing off how packed his Virginia church and vowed to keep preaching unless I'm in jail or the hospital. Fantastic. Glasgow Kiss, thank you so much for that kind donation. You're a star. Anthony C, was that the guy? Because I remember there was a video on, I think it was CNN or MSNBC, where they were interviewing people driving away from a church, and many of the how do you say, the congregation were saying, yeah, I'm covered in Jesus's blood, and that means I'll be protected from coronavirus. And the preacher himself was saying the same thing. Yeah, I'm protected by Jesus's blood. So I don't know if that's the same guy. I don't know if it was in Virginia. It could have been maybe in Mississippi. But anyway, I think, as far as I know, also the preacher in that church was infected with coronavirus. Steady now, Max. Everybody knows Trump. Trump's a stable genius. He said so himself. Hi ho ho ho. Someone like Bannon would be the worst case scenario, yes. Someone like Bannon, or someone guided by Bannon. But Bannon isn't also that intelligent, I don't think. I don't think he's capable of the type of Machiavellian abilities that would be necessary to form a dictatorship in the US. Sadly, that was another church. Evangelical churches are making this a way to show defiance. Can I get Jesus' blood delivered? Yeah, I think, Herbie, you can get it on Amazon. But spare it. It isn't in infinite supply. Forgot it was Tuesday. Hope you had a good Easter. Yes, I had a great Easter. Thank you very much. Hope you had a great Easter too. I had some columba cake. It's a typical cake here we have in Italy at Easter time. It's in the shape of a dove with almonds and something else inside. It's very nice. Converted Jesus blood, sure. About $5 a bottle. It's not like Bookfast, is it? You guys told me to stay away from Bookfast. Okay, so we're up to 88 viewers, or perhaps even more than that. So let's get into some of the topics from that I want to talk about here on the live stream tonight. And of course, as always, I'll jump back to some of your comments. And if you have any comments, put them in the chat. Of course, remember, if I don't respond immediately, post it again, no worries. Okay, so not good news. Tonight we have here 3 NHS nurses who had to wear bin bags for PPE, so personal protection equipment, test positive for coronavirus. So I'm just going to scroll down here. So it says here, this is from I know the Mirror is not the best source, but it's also reported in other newspapers, so I think it's probably quite reliable. 3 NHS nurses who were forced to wear bin bags for protective clothing as they bravely treated coronavirus patients have tested positive for the disease. Frontline staff at Norwich Hospital in Harrow, near North London, claim that they had to use makeshift protective personal equipment due to severe shortages of gloves, aprons, and footwear. Photographs circulated last month showing the nurses wearing clinical waste bags on their hands, feet, and head as emergency rooms filled with sick patients. All 3 nurses pictured in the image were diagnosed with coronavirus in a North London testing centre last week, the Telegraph has reported. So here they are. Sorry, the quality of the picture is not great, but we can see, I think, very clearly here the problem. I saw this is the same type of protection that's been used in care homes as well. It's basically a plastic bag. Now, I want to compare this, contrast this with something that I saw and I was talking to some people today about in the city of Naples. So you guys know that in Italy we have we are the epicenter in Europe for a period of time. I think Spain has overtaken Italy at the moment, and I think the UK is heading in that direction too. But at least in the north of Italy, we had, I think there's a bit of a delay in the stream. Okay. But in Italy, we had a large number of cases in the north, in Lombardy. And in Lombardy, we have probably one of the best medical systems in Europe. And it was overrun. It was close to collapsing. And now we have cases appearing also in Naples, in the south of Italy. And the south is extremely infamous for its crime and poverty. But an interesting situation took place in the Naples hospital that's dealing with coronavirus. They had 0 infected staff. And why was that? It was because they had the best equipment available. They had complete suits. I don't know, I don't have a picture here, but the suits they have are like the ones they have in China. You know, this white suit with was it like Scotch tape or something that runs all the way around it, and the procedure for putting it on. Something happening with the stream. It's running very slowly. I think a lot of the comments, I hope the comments have not disappeared. I hope we're still alive. Are we still live? Anyway. So I just wanted to say about that. And this is, it's a disgrace. How are doctors and nurses supposed to do their job if they don't have the right equipment? It's like sending a firefighter to fight a fire if they don't have helmets or boots or firefighting equipment. Quick James the hamster. Okay, sorry. You're listening to me. Very good. Just you all had gone very quiet. But it's, how is it possible that staffers are to deal with this if they don't have the proper equipment? And of course, if they don't have this equipment, many will get infected and many will die. And I'm sorry, I'm very angry again with Boris Johnson and the government, because whatever happened in Italy was somewhat of a shock. But of course, it's important that after this, there is an inquiry to find out if the Italian government did everything necessary, if the medical system had everything it needed. I don't know if it did or not. I haven't heard much about shortages of ventilators or equipment here in Italy. But as far as I know, it seems to be a huge problem in the UK. And what I was saying before is that you had not ample time, but you had a reasonable amount of time before the onset of many cases in the UK to buy up equipment, to buy ventilators, to appeal to industry in the UK to start creating this. And it's not just ventilators, but masks and goggles and everything that's necessary. Apparently Nick Ferrari was saying staff are not doing job because lacking PPE is a disgrace. Easy for him to say, huh? Yeah. Well, Nick Ferrari is... I best not say too much about Nick Ferrari. I don't want to get banned off the stream as well. But it's... Look, I'm not picking on the UK here, but if there was ample time to buy this equipment, why was it not done? Why was it not bought? You're talking... one of the things they say about we need to, so that's, it says some more, sorry, just go back down. So improvising PPEs to at least try to protect us from our infectious patients, buying our own Wellington boots, that is said to be reimbursed. It's like if staff have to buy their own equipment, of course they're going to make mistakes because they're not going to buy the right equipment. You know, if you're buying Wellington boots, how do you know which ones to buy? And you go to buy masks. What masks do you need to get? You go to one store to get masks and they don't have it. You go to another place. You go to another pharmacy. You know, and then moving around because you need to buy equipment doesn't sound like a very good way to protect members of the public because of social distancing. You know, it reminds me somewhat of Ryanair. Ryanair has a policy that the staff have to buy their own uniforms, which is completely ridiculous. But it seems to be a similar case here in the NHS, that the members of the NHS have to buy their own equipment. They'll be reimbursed, okay, but it doesn't make sense that they have to go out and buy it. This is how our Prime Minister says that we are stockpiling PPEs. We have to stay brave for our colleagues. These are comments by the staff who are off sick, families and other patients. It just made us cry inside, but we have to show brave and smiling faces to everyone. And this is another thing that really, you know, upsets me about this clapping for the NHS. What is the point in clapping for people who need real things? It reminds me of this, what do you call it, thoughts and prayers after a mass shooting in the US. Okay, there's a mass shooting, we need to do something about it, we need to implement policies, whether you agree with gun control or not. It's important we start to do something. And most people say, well, we just thoughts and prayers, that's all we need. No, that doesn't fix the problem. Clapping, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be offensive, but it's the equivalent of thoughts and prayers after some type of attack or some natural disaster. Yeah, my house has been flooded by during the floods. Well, we can't send you sandbags. We'll send you thoughts and prayers, or we'll clap for you. Well, that's not going to stop my house from being flooded. Staff at the hospital have allegedly been warned not to speak to the press about continuing shortages of PPE. Now, let me try and play devil's advocate here. I'll attempt to, at least. So, the staff have been told not to talk about shortages. Now, so why could this be? Let's be generous to the government in this. So the government could say, look, please don't talk about it, because what it could do is it would create a level of tension within the NHS, within hospitals, and it could create competition where you have hospitals going out immediately and buying all of the PPEs and not allowing other trusts or other hospitals to be able to get their hands on them. Now that could be one reason behind it. The other reason, which is probably less generous to the government, is the idea that we don't want people talking about this. Everything is okay. Remember, we have to convince the public that everything is okay, that we're on top of this. And you sometimes see this in some of the interviews where doctors are interviewed by Sky News or by Channel 4 or the BBC, and many doctors will answer questions almost as if they are politicians. I can't think of a particular example, but I recommend the next time you watch a doctor being interviewed, they respond in a very distant way to what. So they could be asked a question, do you have enough PPEs? And they say, well, our hospital has enough PPEs. They wouldn't say the NHS has enough. They could say, well, my hospital has, or my department has everything we need, or our hospital has enough masks and gowns, but maybe not gloves. So they don't tell you everything. So you have to sort of read between the lines. Now, maybe that's me reading too much into it. But if you're a doctor, you don't want to lose your job, but you also don't want to lie for the government. And they have to be careful of what they have to say. So it goes on to say Norwich Hospital, which is part of the London Northwest University Healthcare NHS Trust, was the first major UK hospital to declare a critical incident after surge coronavirus patients left them with a lack of clinical care beds. Staff were told in a message, I'm writing to let you know that we have this evening declared a critical incident in relation to our critical care capacity at Northwick Park Hospital. This is due to an increased number of patients with COVID-19. This means that we currently don't have enough space for patients requiring critical care. See, this is another. They'll say we have capacity, so that means we have beds available. But for COVID-19, maybe there isn't capacity for other medical requirements. But as far as I know, all other medical requirements have been cancelled. Hi, Wee Scott's dog. Welcome to the stream. Hi, Max. You're taking piss regarding the clapping. It's not that, or pay NHS funds. How about instead using it to hold the powers to be to account? By all means, hold it over those who are hypocrites. Yes, it's not that I agree. It's not the clapping is bad. It's the clapping is bad if it's done by people, for example, who were cheering the Tories on regarding cutting the NHS, or it's disgraceful if the people clapping are members of the Conservative Party, parliamentary party, who were voting for cutting the NHS or talking about how we need to give less to doctors and nurses because they're lazy or whatever. The same people who were just recently, before this all started, who were talking about how immigrants are a problem we should crack down on the numbers that there are. And now they're the same people saying, it's great that we have these doctors and nurses working hard, saving lives. Clapping is fine, a show of respect and thanks, but the people pushing the clapping have been shitting on these people for decades. Yes, let me make it very clear. I'm not against the clapping if it's spontaneous. If people want to say, look, I respect my workers, and it can be it can be clapping for NHS staff, it can be clapping for carers in nursing homes as well. I think clapping for whoever you want, but it's the political pushing of this clapping that I find disgusting. Pushing people, you need to clap. If you don't clap, you're a bad person because the politicians are telling you this. That's my big problem with it. When the Tories are saying everyone needs to clap, they're using it as a tool to distract. A senior doctor at Northwick Park Hospital in Harrow said that the situation is effing petrifying. Spokesman for the London Northwest University Healthcare NHS Trust told the Mirror, we can confirm that the number of staff members working in our COVID-19 positive areas have tested positive for the coronavirus. This is unfortunate but not expected, as it corresponds with the experience of healthcare workers across the world. Yes and no. You can say, basically, yes, that's true. Healthcare workers many of them will get infected. But you can't say well, you know, they're going to get infected, so there's not much we can do about it. The numbers, I don't actually have data for it, but as far as I remember, there were very few cases of doctors and nurses, I'm not saying zero, but very few cases in China, because they had the right equipment. You can't eliminate the risk completely, but the better equipment people have, the better tools the staff have available to them, the lower the risk there is. Don't clap, give £10 per person to the NHS to purchase equipment. See, this is a cotton cat. I agree with that idea, but the problem is, and this is something I don't understand, and this is a problem I really struggle to understand completely. Is the problem money, or is the problem availability? Because if the problem is money, well, then there is no problem, because the government can print money. If necessary, we need to buy 10,000 ventilators. There is no problem for money. And the reason I say that is because they have never said, ever, we can't go to war because we can't afford it. So so money has never been an issue. Remember, you always have to remember, when government are asked to do something for the people, there's a problem of money. When the government want to do something for themselves, like go to war or to give tax cuts to their friends, money is never a problem. No, the question, how much would it cost, is never uttered, or can we afford it, is never uttered. So if it's about availability, then the problem is not money. So if the problem is availability, then it's the job of the government to source equipment wherever possible. And unfortunately, it may require them paying more than the standard rate, because of course natural economic law of supply and demand. And but this is something that should have been done at the beginning. Of course, you can't completely prepare for something like this, but there was some time. We saw cases arriving in Europe, spreading quite quickly, and that was the time to say, okay, let's go out and buy everything. You know, if we have medical staff, make sure they all have the proper equipment. If it costs more than we want to spend, to hell with that, because you can't fix the problem later. Thank you very much, Liam, for your comment. All the media coverage only help. The media's coverage only helps to make this look like some sort of government-led patriotic stand. See, and for me, I would have disagreed until, for example, I would have somewhat disagreed until I saw that video that I uploaded the other day, where you had, I think it was yesterday, where you had the van with clap for the NHS. There was, we love the NHS, we love Boris. And at that stage I was, okay, the gloves are off, the mask has fallen. All Nicola and EU's fault. If we can afford Brexit, we can afford PPEs, yes. How much money was wasted on Brexit? And I'm not talking about the preparation for Brexit, I'm talking about the advertising for Brexit. Boris Johnson wasted tens of millions of pounds on the prepare for Brexit for the 31st of October 2019, knowing that he couldn't respect that date. But he still went ahead and spent millions, tens of millions, on that advertising campaign. And remember the coin, how much money was spent minting a bloody coin. I guess the son paid for the van. The van thing was horrendous, yes. The money problem is the wealthy don't want to pay their share. They want to offshore their wealth, exactly. Where are the wealthy UK citizens stepping up for the NHS? Virtual silence and clapping. And see, this is another thing I saw. It's not just in the UK, but in many countries. And I agree 100%, Anthony C. Another example of this was Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg talking about, we're going to give a donation. No, pay your bloody taxes. Instead of giving a once-off donation to make yourself look good. That's what it's about. It's about virtue signaling. It's not about attempting to fix the problem. Because if you cared about fixing the problem, then you wouldn't be lobbying Congress or governments to help you avoid paying your taxes, to reduce your taxes. Best coin ever. Great idea. I hope you're being sarcastic here, because how many ventilators could you have bought with the money for that coin? It's awful that what's happened in the UK, but I have to say, not as bad as Trump. No, Trump. So I uploaded a video the other. I think it was uploaded today about. So what I was reading is that Trump has been working to source equipment, and actually working like a pirate in some cases, where they've stopped ships that were transporting personal protection equipment to other parts of the world. Ships were stopped. It was impounded, taken, and then it was handed over to private companies who would sell it. And I uploaded a story about that, something related to that, where a member of a Republican Party, he was a campaign manager or a fundraiser, and he decided to set up a company selling these protection equipment, because he said, look, this is a lucrative business. And Jared Kushner let the cat out of the bag, or spilt the beans, whichever you prefer, when he said that this is our equipment. He's like, no, it's not your equipment. It belongs to the federal government. It's not your equipment. So it was about how equipment would be transferred from the federal government to states that need it, particularly New York State at the time, because they had the biggest number of cases. And some people probably got on the phone to Trump and says, wait a minute, we can make some money out of this. Why would we hand over this equipment to New York State when we can sell it to them? We have it. Transfer it to us because we're a distributor, and we can charge them whatever, and we can probably give you a percentage. That's probably, I'm pretty sure, how it worked in a very simple way. In a live stream, I was told by a viewer that the EU and neoliberals had agreed to privatize the NHS. The person pushing this was saying, look up Russia Today, George Galloway. George Galloway. I'm sorry, Scottish people, you have you have to take George Galloway back and put him in a cave or something. Put him somewhere on the Isle of Skye where he can't do any damage. He has done a lot of damage so far, and you have to take responsibility for him. Don't worry, Ireland has a few things, has a few bad eggs we have to deal with as well. But Russia Today, I remember someone saying Russia Today is a good news channel to follow if you, as long as you don't follow anything related to Putin. No, we got rid of the nutter. Brexit has nothing to do with COVID-19, folks. But I never said. I never said if, Brexit was something. I said, why waste? If the problem is money, then how can you justify spending money on a coin and not on ventilators? Because we say we don't have ventilators because they cost too much money. Although I hope that wasn't the argument. The argument was we don't have availability. Surely Nigel Farage or someone could call in a few favours, no? He's such a well-connected man around the world. I thought he could do something. He could get on the phone to someone to get some ventilators for the UK, as considering he's such a great patriot. But Nigel has gone very quiet of late for some reason. Hi Max, did you see Dublin Airport slap down Gemma? Yes, I saw that over lockdown fakery. So Gemma Doherty is a right-wing conspiracy theorist in Ireland who runs a nationalist party, a right-wing nationalist party. I think they got something like 0.01% of the jokes or some of the votes. So I'm reading sweaty legs for it. Okay, so I just want to show you another story that's interesting. Of course, always on topic. Just bear with me a moment. Just before I go to that, William asks, that was Kyle Kalinske, that was on RT, that bloke who's currently losing his mind and advocating letting the white nationalist win re-election, thinking it's good for the left. That's a very good point, William. So I was watching, what's his name? Cedar. What's his name? Sam Cedar. And he made a very good point, and he's being pragmatic about this. Joe Biden is not Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden is not their knight in shining armor. He's not a progressive. He's not the person you would want in the White House. But the vote will always come down to I'm sorry, Marilena. It will always come down to the lesser of two evils. And is Joe Biden the type of person who would run roughshod over the environment like Donald Trump is? No. Is Joe Biden the type of person who would insult allies and enemies equally? No, he's not. Is Joe Biden someone who would kick millions and millions of more people off their health care? Probably not. He would probably kick some people off because of Obamacare, but would he kick off as many as Donald Trump is planning to do or has kicked off? No, he wouldn't. So there is a very simple situation you have. You have someone who's completely terrible and someone who's not completely terrible. And unfortunately, when it comes down to voting, you don't have to say, I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's a fantastic guy and I completely agree with everything he stands for. Biden have China teeth. But you have to say, who is less damaging to working class people? Who is less damaging to the environment? Who is less damaging to the middle class? Who is less damaging to the country as a whole? Who is less damaging to international relations? Then you I don't know, you have to choose Joe Biden in that. You don't have to agree with everything Joe Biden says and does and has agreed with over the last number of decades. But there's no comparison. And I think people like Kyle Kalinske are acting a little bit like children, where they say, okay, well, I didn't get my toy, so I'm in the ice cream shop and they don't have my favorite flavor, so I'm going to walk out. And I'm going to tell everyone else to walk out as well. And at the end, nobody gets any ice cream, whether the ice cream is your favorite or not. Now, I know this is strange coming from me, who, my channel is based on a revolutionary. But I think for the United States, if you're going to remain within a democracy, then you need to work within that. Otherwise, you need to burn everything down. So that's the choice. I thought there was a chance that someone like Bernie Sanders could come along and Bernie Sanders could change the system. But the system is so corrupt. You either work within the system and get the crumbs and be happy with that, or you destroy the system. And Bernie Sanders wasn't going to destroy the system. Bernie Sanders was going to modify the system somewhat, or the best he could, and I think he would have struggled. Not just because of the Republicans, but because of the Democrats. The Democrats would have watered him down in the same way that Obama ran on this message of change, hope and change. And we're going to radically change the system. We're going to make it better for everyone. And he did improve some things. But what the system is based on neoliberalism, didn't change. It actually probably got worse under Obama, because people believed that it was improving when it was actually getting worse. You had the income inequality grew under Obama. So you either buy into that and say, look, I'm happy with that type of system. And if you're happy with that type of system, then it makes sense to choose the lesser of two evils. But if you want radical change, unfortunately, you need a revolution. And in a revolution, as you can imagine, things don't go very peacefully. You need to have a violent revolution. There is no revolution without violence. There are some exceptions, but violence is always part of the revolution. Anyway, but we'll see. But I frankly, I don't see Joe Biden winning in November. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I'm not very good at doing predictions, but I hope I'm wrong. But I don't see Joe Biden winning in November, because I think Joe Biden has a lot of issues, and they're Joe Biden issues. They're not policy issues. They're not campaigning issues. They're not image issues, but they are issues with Joe Biden as a person. I think he is ill at the moment, to say it frankly. I don't think he's well. Now, there is talk that he may be replaced at the convention, that he would bow out to someone else, maybe a younger, equally moderate person. And I could see that happening. I could see him at the convention saying, look, I have decided for health reasons that I'm not up to the job, and I'm going to support, I don't know, not Bernie anyway. It wouldn't be Bernie, it would be some moderate. and then the party would rally behind that person, and you would see the media doing exactly the same. I'm talking about the media as in CNN and MSNBC. They would rally behind that person. But this, of course, is speculation. Whether Joe Biden would actually go along with that is another thing altogether. But I don't see Joe Biden winning against Trump. Now, under what scenario could Joe Biden win against Trump? Well, if there is a complete shambles in dealing with this coronavirus, and if there is a second wave of the coronavirus after the summer, which many people are saying is possible, because we don't have the proper lockdown mechanisms in place at the moment, or we reopen too quickly, you're going to see a second wave. And if Trump is there as president and there's a second wave, I think this would be detrimental to his presidency, because people would say, you have failed. You said it had gone away. Because as soon as this starts to decrease, the numbers start to decrease, and when they're in low numbers for new cases, I can guarantee Donald Trump will be saying, we have won, it's a victory, I'm the one who beat it, I'm the winner, didn't I tell you I would defeat it, I told you at the beginning I am the winner, or whatever. This is sort of typical crap from Donald Trump. And if there isn't a second wave, then he will be crowned by himself and the media, especially Fox News, as the one who defeated the coronavirus. He will be the victor against the coronavirus, and if that remains the situation into November, then he'll probably win. Also, because if there are debates, if the debates are in person, Joe Biden doesn't have a hope. If the debates are televised, if they're on Zoom or something, or Skype or something like that, there's a huge difference there. And maybe Joe Biden could be prepared enough. He could have a teleprompter. He could have someone, putting up signs to tell him what to say. And he could come across as someone who's capable of responding to these issues. But if the debate is not in a room, like as it traditionally is, I think it's not going to be very good for Donald Trump. If it's if it's without an audience, which is probably going to be the case, it's not going to be very good for Donald Trump, because he loves that that feeling of the crowd cheering him on, the rally. That's when he's in his element. So if you take that away, it's going to damage Donald Trump a lot. But again, we're still early days. We're only still in April, and we still have many months to go. But it will be interesting to follow. So I talked a lot there. I want to change to another issue related, of course, to Corona. Oops. Okay, so it says here, coronavirus distancing may need to continue until 2022, says experts. So this is going to be interesting. So it says here, physical distancing measures may need to be in place intermittently until 2022. Scientists have warned in analysis that suggests that there could be a resurgence of COVID-19 for years to come. Yeah, I think this is highly possible, or it's highly likely, that we're going to start to see new cases appearing all the time. What I mean by that is you're going to see new cases. So the numbers of cases will decrease. We won't have it completely eliminated. And then you'll start to see pockets of resurgence in different parts of the country or different parts of the world. I like it making donuts and listening to Max now. Fantastic. I hope the donuts are nice. So you're going to see a resurgence of COVID-19 appearing in different parts of the world or different parts of the country. Now, I've talked about this before, how, let's say we eliminate COVID-19 in Europe. Now, how are we going to maintain a type of quarantine in Europe? Okay, we'd have to say, well, anyone flying into Europe or traveling into Europe will need to be checked and isolated. Okay, but from what countries? Well, we'd have to say from every country outside Europe. Because we could say where we're going to say, for example, or let's change to the United States for a second. The United States eliminates all of its cases, or most of its cases, and it says, okay, we need to check people coming in to the United States. Okay, but from where? From Europe. Okay, but what about people who come through Europe? They'll have to be checked also. What about people who come directly from Europe? They'll have to be checked. People who passed through Europe, maybe they didn't fly directly from Europe, but they flew into Europe and then they transferred to another country after that and then flew into the United States. So you're going to have to check thousands and upon thousands of people every day. And that would be a huge strain for the system. So I think the idea that we can allow a country to exit the lockdown and another country next door to it, or a country that deals with it, not to be to be still under lockdown because they have cases, is going to be extremely problematic. So it does make sense that there is going to be a need to have some type of social distancing, people wearing masks, gloves, no touching, no handshaking. I think it was Dr. Fauci in America was talking about he would be happy to eliminate, I think it was quite sad, but he'd be happy to eliminate handshaking forever. I just want to read QA Library said, NHS Trust requests basic items via Amazon wish lists. BBC News has identified more than 10 hospital trusts in England and Wales requesting products for staff and patients. Could you please send me I don't know, a wish list or something? I could put it up on my channel. I could put a link to their Amazon wish list. I'd like to do that if possible. So, if there's an NHS trust that need people to buy stuff for them, please send me the link and I'll post it up on my YouTube channel. That'd be interesting. That'd be handy for them, I think, because they need equipment. Maybe they can't get their hands on it. Maybe somebody can get their hands on it. The simple answer to everyone coming to the UK to be checked for the virus, Jamie, I agree. You'd have to check everyone coming into the UK, but that's a lot of people. It's huge numbers. Okay, thank you very much. I'll just copy that. Okay. So I think we're going to see certain conditions of some type of lockdown for the foreseeable future. So it says the paper published in the journal Science concluded that one-time lockdown will not be sufficient to bring the pandemic under control, and that the secondary peaks could be larger than the current one without continued restrictions. It's not a perverse incentive structure for the NHS to rely on charity, though. Part of me thinks we shouldn't, and just demand the government properly funds it. I agree in principle, William, but unfortunately practice doesn't always work that way. Max, who do you think is worse than president? Is a worse President, Trump or George Bush? Well, George Bush went to war. It started an illegal war, so he has that. But I think for America, I don't know, was an illegal war the worst thing? So Donald Trump has destroyed the United States' reputation. And for me, one of the biggest, and it's something that not that many people talk about, is the Iran deal. How Trump tore up the Iran deal. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. Thank you for that link. That link in the chat. So a lot of people say, sorry, just reading the chat. Robespierre, scientists have checked medicine against tuberculosis might work. Countries who have vaccine against it have much lower death of COVID-19. That's interesting. Do we still have a lot of vaccines for TB? They need a vaccine and lots of test kits. There's no other way. There should be testing continuously. We need to be testing everyone as much as possible, and not just once, but on numerous occasions, daily, regularly. There has to be regular testing. As soon as people are tested and they are positive or negative, they need to be tested again later. But this isn't what's happening, because they say the tests aren't available. They need a vaccine and lots of test kits, yes. Trump or Caligula? Caliga's horse. I'd have to say Caligula is worse, because he actually done a lot. But see, Trump has more power than Caligula. Caligula killed people personally. Trump didn't. Max, can you ask your wife if BCG was given in Italy back in the days? I can't ask you now, but I will find out. I can't ask her now, but I will find out. Don't trust an American. They all say that they did not vote for Trump when have asked, but we know better. Sorry. Caligula at least knew how to party. As soon as the deaths are low enough and are no longer causing difficulty for the government, it will be all systems go to get back to making money. I agree, Glenn. And I fear this is what's going to happen, is that when the numbers reach a certain threshold, as you know, it's not going to be zero, of course, but it will reach a certain threshold. Then governments will be, let's get back to business. Cotton Cat asked for a calendar. Of course. And now we could return to normality, and we could be fine. But it's highly unlikely we're going to see huge numbers again. And then what will happen is we'll have to go into another lockdown. And then people will get tired, and there's a risk that, you know, we've gone into a lockdown. We have used up a lot of our citizens' trust and goodwill. You know, we've asked people to do things that we wouldn't normally ask them to do, and they have followed through for the most part. Most people, the vast majority of people, have respected the lockdown in their respective country. And I think to ask them to go through that again will be extremely difficult. And you can see, for example, in countries like Brazil, where the president of Brazil is completely ignoring the advice by his government and the scientists, and he's encouraging others to do the same. And I don't know why he's doing that. Because either he's insane, which is possible, or he's playing some political game, hoping that the cases will not increase dramatically, and he will have been proven right. That there was nothing to worry about. But it's a very dangerous game he's playing. There's a risk that he's correct, that he's not corrected, but in the sense that he is proven in a way correct, that actually we were able to get over it without too many cases. But I don't think it's going to be the case, especially in a country like Brazil, where you have a huge number of poor people crammed into squalor. As soon as the virus gets in there, it's going to cause a huge amount of damage, unless that is part of his agenda. Get rid of the poor people. That could be part of Bolsonaro's agenda, and I wouldn't be surprised, because that's the type of person he is. France is planning to unlock progressively. The country started on May 11th. I'm worried about the lockdown. I like everyone else wants to get out of this lockdown. I think it's extremely depressing, and I think there's also a huge impact on people mentally. In this lockdown, many people are suffering a great deal because of this lockdown. Some people are suffering mentally. Many people are suffering physically because of domestic violence, for example. And we want to get out of it. But I'm afraid that many countries are going to are not following the science, but they're following the politics. And they're afraid that their economy is going to suffer too much, or they're afraid that citizens will become rebellious, and the thing could get out of hand. They may feel that we need to release the valve slightly. We need to release it slowly. Otherwise, someone else might come along and rip that valve off the wall, and we're going to have an explosion. So I'll just continue with the article. So it says one scenario predicted a resurgence that could occur as far in the future as 2025 in the absence of a vaccine or effective treatment. Yay! 2025. Mark Lipstitch, a professor of epidemiology at Harvard and co-author of the study, said infection spread when there are two things: infected people and susceptible people. Unless there is some enormous large amount of herd immunity, then we're aware of, the majority of the population is still susceptible. Predicting the end of the pandemic in the summer of 2020 is not consistent with what we know about the spread of infections. So, many politicians are talking about, we'll get through it in a number of weeks. Are you trying to do anything new in lockdown or achieve anything? I've taken up running and lost stone so far. Oh, very good, William. Well done. No, I did a bit of gardening. How an anticlimax that was. I've done a bit of tidying up, decluttering, I should say, not so much tidying up, decluttering, because my house is a disaster, and I've always put it on the long finger, and now I've decided during the lockdown, now is the time to do things that I've put off for a long time. But unfortunately, I have a garage just underneath my apartment, and it's full of junk collected. It's like hoarded junk, and it's depressing every time I go in there, It's like, okay, I want to tidy this out, but I don't know if you guys ever have this feeling when you look at something and the task looks too great that you just turn around and walk away. And I've been doing that for years, unfortunately. Photography is Max's new hobby. Set fire to the junk. And then the fire brigade will come and they'll ask, hey, you're abusing our service. There must be spare going about. I caught one too. I've just found my kettlebell that kept me from starting using online exercise classes and started using online exercise classes. That's great. I have a kettlebell. I actually have two. One is 16 kilos. I don't know why I bought a 16 kilo kettlebell. Because I wanted to start off in a hard way. And then I think 16 kilos is too heavy, especially to start off with. The UK government has just put an extra 2 million to help fund domestic violence, and if you're a victim, then you are free to leave the house and find it. That's fantastic. So, I'm commending the government for doing this. Something I think also the government should be commended for doing, it's late, but it's better late than never, is I think about 1,000 homeless people were moved into accommodation. Now, because of the coronavirus, they were moved in. But for those homeless people, they don't care. They now have a roof over their head. The reasoning behind it is unimportant to them. But it's important that they have a roof over their head, and that's something to be happy about. Now, I think it's important that once we're over this, that these people are not just abandoned, that we realize this is something we need to deal with. Homelessness is a problem that needs to be resolved. And just talking about it is not going to fix the problem. We now need to put mechanisms in place. Max, who's worse, Trump or Stalin? Diana, just you answer this. Tralin. If Trump could get away with the things that Stalin did, would he have done them, or would he do them now? See, people will say, well, Trump never opened gulags or sent people to Siberia. He didn't remove members of his cabinet and have them bunked off. But no, because he couldn't. But if he could, would he have done it? I'll let you answer that. Do you think things will change after the virus, if not an issue in general? Things are going to change. We're not going to go back to the old normal. We're going to have a new normal. Now, I can't explain exactly what that is. Now, will it be positive or negative? Well, I think it'll be a mix of both. I think in regards to work, we're going to see much more online working. More and more people are going to work from home. Companies have probably realized, look, we can save a lot of money through this. And we can monitor people much better this way. If you're in an office and your boss steps out, or is away for a meeting, normally that's, as we say, when the cat's away, the mice will play. But if you're at home and you're monitored constantly through software, and your boss can at any moment say, okay, what is Max doing? Oh, Max, why you've been inactive for 3 hours. Why have you been inactive? Or you've been inactive for half an hour. Why have you been inactive? So this is something that's not positive. For the companies, they would see it as something positive, but it's not something positive for workers. But so I think the alternative to that, maybe the positive of the new, is that perhaps we'll be able to spend more time with our families, because we won't travel so much for work. We won't be filling up trains and buses and roads with cars. And I think that's a positive. I was talking with QA when I was still on Twitter about pollution levels, and he sent me an article about pollution levels, and we're going to see, I hope, much lower levels of pollution. And I think I hope also there's going to be much more understanding for frontline workers like doctors, nurses, but also people who clean our hospitals or our offices or our public places, people who collect our rubbish, people who look after our elderly. There's going to be more respect for those people because they have always been regarded as, unskilled and in a way unnecessary. Posing for the calendar pics. The nosy buggers want to know everything. I think the Tories will use the coming recession as an excuse to implement austerity 2.0, and we will be eye-watering for the low paid. See, I'm trying to be optimistic, Drew, but you could be right here that you're going to see a greater separation between the rich and the poor. The poor will get poorer and the rich will get richer, of course. You're going to see that's the way I think it's going to go. But if we remember, one of the problems with this related to this virus is how many people had no protections, no welfare. In the US, for example, many workers, Amazon drivers or healthcare workers in nursing homes or whatever, had no healthcare insurance. Now that will have to change, because if there is another case of this virus and these people can't work, they have to stay home. Trump if they have to stay home, this is going to collapse many systems. So I know there'll be a wish by many politicians to go back to the old way of doing things, but I don't think it's going to work out that way. And austerity has been proven a failure. And austerity, in the sense of cutting services for citizens, for the public, has been proven a disaster. 5 months ago, 6 months ago, people were making arguments about how the NHS would be better off in private hands. Can you imagine now if the NHS was in private hands and people had to pay for treatment for COVID-19, that you had to actually pay when you went to the hospital? How many people would be paying? How many people would actually go to the hospital? How many people could afford to pay for that treatment? That's gone now. Now, I hope that doesn't come back as some solution to the problem. I wouldn't put it past some people, but I really hope we're not going to hear that sort of language again. Stalin gave free holidays to Siberian gulag rather than the gold-covered, overpriced rump hotel. There were no bed bugs in the gulag. Trump lacks the competence to be as bad as Stalin. What did you make of the Labour dossier? The Labour dossier about the selling off of the NHS. In a way, I was surprised and not surprised. The way that members of the Conservative cabinet met with private health insurance companies. At the same time they were saying the NHS is safe in our hands. We would never dream of selling it off. It's not for sale. Max, have you ever thought that Operation Kingfisher is now in effect? That was the government list of businesses that would fail or be bailed out in a no-deal Brexit, but we're seeing it early. That's very, very interesting, Killer. And I never actually thought about that. We've always focused on Operation Kingfisher and Yellowhammer related to Brexit. But you see how certain industries are being protected. That's something to look into. I need to revise Operation Kingfisher and Yellowhammer to look at the details of that again, to look at the mechanisms and what they were talking about, what was to be protected. I remember oil industries and hospitals were to be protected. They would be given a priority. They would be bought out, for example, by the state, so that they wouldn't close down. But it'd be, it is, in a way, this is a trial run for a no-deal Brexit. Just chat and start a thread on one of Max's videos. I'll look out for them. No, the one that came out yesterday that sent the party into full civil war, and Starmer just launched independent inquiry. So that was I haven't actually read about that. I just read some headline about the anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. Is it the anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, or that there were members of the Labour Party who wanted to remove Corbyn, who were anti-Corbyn people who caused who tried to cause the Labour Party to lose the general election, or instrumental in the Labour Party losing the general election. Mark Francis, you never know, Bojo might have had define epiphany, and all lefty JRM, Jacob Rees, Farage, Mark Francois could be sent to the Tower of London for Gamory. Gamory. Why are you here? I'm here for Gamory. Oh, hang on, that was the dream that I had last. Mac, did you know many CEOs stepped down just before the lockdowns? That means they could sell their shares at top price. I think there are a lot of people who are making a lot of money from this. A lot of people, also in the US, there were some senators. I think there was a senator who had investments in a particular company, and then the company, he sold them, and then the next day the information was released about what the government were going to do about coronavirus. Did Boris really have corona, or was it fake? I'm not the one to answer that. Look, it would be extremely, how can I say, low if Boris had faked the coronavirus and went into hospital and stayed there in a private bed or in a bed, and the doctors and nurses had to fake that they were, putting him on in ICU. They didn't put him in ICU, but they were pretending. I don't think it happened. I don't think he faked it, because it would be extremely difficult to do that. You'd have to have a lot of people agree, to sign something to lie about this, and eventually it would come out. Someone would leak it to the. Can you imagine if you were, if you were a nurse in the hospital and you knew that Boris Johnson was faking it, and he wasn't in ICU, because they wouldn't put you in ICU unless you are sick. It's a funny and interesting hypothesis, but I think to get everyone on board would be extremely difficult. And then the idea that if you work there, you could simply tell a friend of yours, look, go to the newspapers about this, but don't give my name. And it would be extremely embarrassing. So no, I think he was sick. But on the other side, you can see how many people take weeks to recover, to start breathing properly again. And Boris was like giving a speech the day he left the hospital. I don't know. It just seems very strange. I think probably what happened was that he wasn't very sick, but he was sick to some level, and they put him in ICU as a precaution. Not that he was actually really, really sick and he needed it, but they didn't want to take the risk. You have the Prime Minister. If you're imagine you're a doctor and they ask you, should we put the Prime Minister in ICU? We don't think he really needs it, but if he got sick and you didn't put him in ICU, you would be in big trouble. So if I was a doctor, I'd say, put him in there. Even if he doesn't need it, it's best he stays in there, and we can monitor him. If he gets worse, at least he's there. We don't have to move him around. Of course, I'm hypothesizing here. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how these things work exactly. But if you were worried about losing your job or about making a big mistake, you'd probably decide, look, best put him in there. I hope I'm not defaming any doctors here, but anyway. Someone usually has to die to become a martyr, so lying about that is counterproductive in that sense. I read that the EU has put a stop to companies buying back shares or something with the money they get from the EU. I think that is to stop from profit. Yes, so of course, companies would get money from the EU and then they would just buy shares with that money in their own company, and that would be completely against the idea of supporting companies. So it's very important that doesn't happen. I don't know if it's possible in the US, but good night. Is Glasgow Kiss leaving us? Oh no. Marilena is on her way out, is she? Raphael, sorry. Good night, Raphael. Have a good one. Sorry, I didn't see. Off to bed. Apologies. Off to bed. Thanks for the chat. Got to homeschool my kids tomorrow. I imagine that's a fantastic experience. No, I'm joking. I've just seen some videos online of people who are extremely stressed teaching their kids at home. As a UK citizen, I'm appalled at our inept government. It's almost as if they had an alternative motive. I was speaking to my dad about this. Dr. Johan, just listening, okay? If you're a doctor, of course, we'd love to hear your opinion, unless you're a doctor of philosophy. If you're a medical doctor, all the better. Max just had a Biden moment. You know the thing. I have a friend who has 300 cats, and I know 3 ladies who have a shelter of 930 cats. Wow. It must be interesting when all those cats are in heat. It's probably difficult to sleep at night. Max, what are your demographics of your channel? That's interesting. So the demographics of my channel are... Let me see if I can bring it up here on the screen. Perhaps we can look at it together. Just a moment. Just bear with me. I don't know if this will appear. Let's see. 90% mental, 3% loon, and 88% crap at maths. Okay. So we have here, so this is in the last month. For some reason, my subscribers have declined a huge amount. Whoops, what happened there? So we have here, I don't know if you can see, guys. United Kingdom, Ireland, Germany, Netherlands, United States, and then age and gender. The ladies don't like don't like Max too much. 4% female and 95% male. And then we have a slight majority of 45 to 54 years. So I don't know how many of you guys are in this bracket. Coming back from my Corona ICU shift, all calm this night. We took over a Dutch patient. Makes me proud. Makes me kind of proud of kind of like. I hope we can send him back well. That's great. Thank you so much for that comment, Dr. Johan. That would be great for him and the relatives. Are you in Germany or in the Netherlands? Armitage is you are part of that 4%. All of your teenage years must be on your TikTok channel. 0. Didn't actually used to be like this. Young women don't like you, Max. You need to do more TikTok, I think. Germany, great. And I want to say thanks to the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, and the German government for accepting so many Italians as well. I was talking on Twitter about how, and I shared some articles about that while I was still on Twitter, about the German government taking in so many people from Bergamo in Italy. The solidarity shown from the German government, but also from towards the French as well. There's so many cases were transferred over from Paris, I think it was. It's the lack of Mancini picture. The Luftwaffe is the Luftwaffe is still the name of the German Air Force. No little lizards, geckos then. Mine brought back. Okay, I missed that. He needs to release the Mancini calendar. He'll boost his female subs no end. I'm not so sure about that. Max is reminiscing about his Twitter days. Okay, so there's another article I want to show you guys. Just bear with me for a moment. The nonnas will flock to the channel if you do. You're welcome, QA Library. My Kini calendar might increase to 65 plus female subs. Thank you, Glasgow Kiss. Okay, so it says here, NHS hospitals accused of risking staff lives by foregoing mask fit tests. Smash that like button, guys. Yes. Are the Tories stupid enough not to extend the transition period before the deadline in June? I think you've already answered that question yourself, William. I think they will say there's no need to extend it. We can sort it out. They've actually started the negotiations once again, of course, via live via video feed by Zoom, I think it is, or Skype maybe. But they've restarted the negotiations between David Frost and Michel Barnier. So I assume they're going ahead with the negotiations as they see them, and of course the plan is to crash out without a deal, so that's probably going to happen. So they'll say at the end of the year, we didn't get a deal we wanted, now let's go our own way. I think the Tories are trying to play chicken with the EU. Really, this isn't the time to play games. I think the next couple of months are going to be a real test for many governments. But at the moment, the EU is not interested in talking about Brexit and dealing with Brexit. They have much bigger fish to fry. Fondling the mask like that. Okay, doctors and nurses are being put at risk of catching COVID-19 because hospitals are abandoning vital checks to ensure that their personal protective equipment fits properly. Growing numbers of hospitals are running so short of FFP3 face masks, they are no longer insisting staff have a fit test because they start wearing a mask while before they start wearing a mask while treating infected patients. NHS trusts do not want to deplete their limited supply of the disposable mask by using them up during what until now has been seen as a routine and necessary checks to ensure the virus cannot get past the mask and into the wearer's nose or mouth. The fit test is a rigorous process that ensures health workers wear the right size mask that does not leak. The masks are sprayed with a chemical mist to see if the staff can taste it. So of course this isn't happening because if the mask isn't suitable, well, okay, take it off and try another one. But because of the limited supply, the staff have to go with the first one that they have, which means that maybe the mask isn't perfectly fitting. It's imagine that you had to go into a shop and buy a pair of shoes, but you didn't know the size that you needed to buy, and you had to buy the first shoes that you picked out. That would be a disaster. You'd end up walking out with shoes perhaps fitting you. You don't know. Maybe you could be very lucky, or you end up with shoes too tight or too large. Now, maybe a mask that is too tight could be better than a mask that's too large, but who wants to take that risk? A UK doctor film him having a mask test fit. Can I post the link? Sure, yes, please do. Remember, most masks only last a few hours of wear, and others are single use only. So that's the problem again. So you could actually get a mask, but then the next day you need to wear another one, and the one you get the day after may not be may not fit you well. You need to be clean shaven also. That's interesting to know. So if you have a beard or a mustache, it's not going to be a good idea to have. That's a problem for most Scottish nurses. Scottish women are very beautiful. How dare you say that? High heels on lasky choosing plus mankini could be interesting. Just a moment. Thank you, QA Library. So QA Library has posted a link. If I'd like, maybe you can open it or you can watch it later, of course, after the stream. But it's showing a doctor doing a test with one of these masks. However, trusts are instead telling staff to carry out the doctor's fear. However, trusts are instead telling staff to carry out what doctors fear is a crude and unreliable manual assessment known as a fit check to see if the mask has any gaps. This involves checking the seal by covering the filter, breathing in, and seeing if the mask sucks in. So I assume this is not doing it with this spray. The Doctors Association says that hospitals which no longer do fit tests are playing Russian roulette with doctors' lives at a time when COVID-19 has already claimed the lives of at least 40 NHS doctors, nurses, paramedics, midwives and porters. Dr. Hope's sick notes, he's a NHS A and E or doctor, and he has just come out being a journal doctor. So the Italian nonnas, so are the Italian nonnas, so why the delay in the calendar department? Damn it, this damn calendar. 16-minute vid. I'll save it to watch later. I think he's put the timestamp, so you don't have to watch all of it. I test mine by simply spraying dentature alcohol from the outside. If the stuff doesn't get in my nostrils, then the mask is passable. Dr. John's sick notes is good. Okay, thanks for that link, Glasgow Kiss. So there's a chart showing the fit for different masks. One of the most upsetting things at the moment is that I'm agreeing with Piers Morgan so often. Piers Morgan has done a 180. It's unbelievable. He's completely changed. He's had his Road to Damascus conversion, I think. You have to send Max a link on how to make a calendar. So that's the problem. Night Raven, I have no idea how to make a calendar, so becoming the voice of reason, strange times. So this idea that the staff don't have enough masks, they have to carry out insufficient tests in order just to have the mask, in order just to wear it, and then they risk their lives and the lives of their family members because they have to go home after spending time in the hospital. When all of this could have been prepared beforehand. Pauline was in Cyprus with her 30 moggies. Visit with where women. Why not 50 doggies? Have you heard? She likes a little drink. But is it Cypriot? Ah, yeah, Ken. It's quickly gone. It was quite a sip riot. Very nice. A Danish guy has a factory standing still for 15 years. China was cheaper, but it was in mint condition. Piers Morgan has also been saying that some pretty racist stuff about China, though it must be noted when praising him. Yeah. Max Vistaprint calendar. Step 1. Take suggestive photo wearing a mannequin, welly boots, hat and mask. Or I could maybe, guys, if you're so obsessed with this calendar, maybe I could get on the phone to Nigel Farage and he could pose instead. He likes posing in his underwear, as you've seen. Okay, and there was another I wanted to show you. Just one moment. Right off. He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy. Oh yes, and Piers is still vile and about Meghan and Harry, but his COVID PPE champion is good. It's like as they say, a stopped clock is right twice a day. After the pandemic, we'll all gather on our Italian beach dress code mankini. A woman that doesn't drink, that is a challenge. If it were Nigel Farage posting, it would have dartboard. Maybe you need some calendar contributions from your contributors. No, I need to send them a calendar. They have been very kind to me, so I need to send them a calendar. But maybe if they would like to pose for the calendar, that would be also interesting. Okay, so I want to show you. Let me see if I can get this up here on the stream. No, not this one. It's Max's calendar, not ours. When this is all over, about a post-apocalyptic Mad Max party. Imagine a 3D printed July night action figure to attract calendar customers. Here's your boss. Oh my god. Yes, here it is. So, UK government is being urged to publish its lockdown exit strategy this week. The leader of the opposition, Labour Party's Sir Keir Starmer has written to Dominic Raab, who is deputising for the Prime Minister, to say his party would support an extension, but that ministers need to explain their plan. So I think it's interesting that we have... Sorry, go back to the... I can send you some photos from the 1990s, but they're a bit racy. I'm not taking my fur coat off for anyone. It certainly could not show below the waist. You and your Casio calculators. So a question for Thursday, therefore, is no longer about whether the lockdown should be extended, but about what the government's position is on how and when it will be eased in due course, and on what criteria that decision will be taken. Ministers have argued that now is not the time to talk about this. I profoundly disagree. Overcoming this crisis requires taking the British public with you. Millions of people have played their part and exceeded government assumptions about their willingness to make sacrifices and stay at home in the national interest, said Keir Starmer. In return, the government needs to be open and transparent with the public about how it believes the lockdown will ease and eventually end, how this decision will be informed, and what measures are being put in place to plan for this eventuality. So I think it's interesting how Keir Starmer is leading here. He sounds like the voice of reason, that we need transparency. We need to form a government of national unity in a way. We need to work together to deal with this crisis. We need to put politics aside, but at the same time, Max, your missus must be wondering what the hell you're giggling at. From time to time, yes. Well, you have it. That will get that female subscriber level up for certain. A flash kilt in June. Yes, we can get. This should be a team effort calendar for everyone on board. The accessory to go with that, not so mankini. I think this is also very interesting. I've talked a little bit about this before in the US, where this is actually in the US, I think. Yes. So it says here, Amazon has fired 2 employees after they publicly denounced the company's treatment of warehouse workers during the pandemic. So of course, we see how. Of course, I'm going back to the chat about the calendar. Max has some 65 plus in his demographic. You might be there. You might be in there. Whiskas dog. Fuck you all. This is Max's thing. Don't let him pussy out and drag us into it. Hi Max, just pushing the like button. Too many male Scots on your streams. Stay safe. Thank you, Lena Han. So two. Oops. Yes. Who suggested this team crap? Says Killer. So Emily Cunningham and Maren Costa said that they were fired after internally circulating a petition about health risks for Amazon warehouse workers during the COVID-19 crisis. Costa had worked for the company for more than 15 years, and Cunningham had been an employee for more than 5. Costa said, "I don't regret standing up with my co-workers. This is about human lives and the future of humanity. In this crisis, we must stand up for what we believe in. We have hope and demand from our corporations and employers a basic decency that's been lacking in this crisis." So I think it's very important how, you know, many of us are relying on companies like Amazon or Tesco, if you're in the UK, to deliver your shopping, your groceries sometimes, and couriers to deliver, you know, calendars if they're coming by, you know, by courier. But we have to remember that these staff members are working under ridiculously stressful conditions, and in many cases they don't have the proper hand sanitizer available, they don't have protective equipment available, and they don't have the means to protect themselves. And when they complain about it, many times the company just doesn't give a crap and they will just fire them, and Amazon has a reputation for this. Night Raven, but the number watching has dropped. No. So we've been talking too much about mankinis and calendars. We need to get off mankinis and calendars. Then the viewer number will increase. So we're on 2 hours 22 minutes. So I think we'll do another 10 minutes on the live stream, guys, and then I'll have to end it. Let me see. We can go to the next point on the article. Yeah, so this is another. I did make my own hand sanitizer at the start of this. What was your hand sanitizer? Zimmer, iron lung wooden leg, and shattered toupee. What? A petition is needed for Max's calendar, I think. So here is this is just crazy. Okay, so we have in the UK a mobile phone mast serving the emergency NHS Nightingale Hospital in Birmingham is one of the latest targets by arsonists who wrongly believe 5G technology is linked to the spread of coronavirus. Mark Sweeney and Jim Watterson Wright, Nick Jeffrey, the chief executive of Vodafone, said, "Burning down masts means damaging important national infrastructure. In practice, this means families not being able to say a final goodbye to their loved ones, hard-working doctors, nurses and police officers not being able to phone their kids, partners or parents for a comforting chat." This, I don't know where this had started from. I really don't understand where this began. This idea that 5G and coronavirus are somehow linked. Is it because, I don't know, 5G was developed, I think, in China? I don't even know if that's true. But this idea that I put these people who are, you know, saying 5G and coronavirus, I put them in the same category as the Betty voted for Brexit. I didn't want to go there, but probably. But I put them in the same category as people who are talking about, you know, vaccines cause autism and the earth is flat and climate change is a hoax and Donald Trump is the greatest president of all time. These idiots. Now, as the head of Vodafone said, and it's completely true, there are many people who at this moment need a decent internet connection. They need this connection to speak to their loved ones for the last time. Imagine someone is trying to speak to their loved one who is about to die and the connection drops. And it's not because there's a huge amount of there's a huge crowd on that line. It's because some friggin' idiot went on Facebook and read a comment from another idiot who said that 5G causes coronavirus. And I don't understand what goes through these people's minds. So let's burn it down, so we're going to save lives. Where do these things start? Liado says, good evening, Max. Good evening. Keep an eye on Brazil. Their health system is close to collapse. Reported today that they might have 12 times more cases than... Yeah, I read about that on... I think it was in The Guardian, about Brazil is going to be an absolute disaster. And of course, the president of Brazil is walking around blowing his nose into his hand and then shaking hands with people. And then you have a huge amount of poverty in Brazil and millions of people living in shacks, living 3, 4, 5 to a room. How are they supposed to self-isolate? How are they supposed to respect social distancing? I think in Africa, in South America, in parts of Asia, it's going to kill millions. I don't know how they're doing. I don't know how the numbers in India are still so low. Maybe there's underreporting. Because if you look at how quickly it spreads here, even when we have a lockdown, here in Italy we're still having huge numbers of new cases. And we're under lockdown. And we're not such a densely populated country. In Brazil, I think Brazil is going to be one of the next. And then after Brazil, there will be many countries in Africa, or there will be other countries in Asia. It's a lack of education, Brice says. Yeah, I think so. It's like, as Trump said, wind turbines cause cancer. and there were airports in the American Revolution. Yes. 120 million without running water. Oh my God. If the electromagnetic waves of 5G created the Corona-19, imagine what the more powerful one, like visible light, can do. Oh my God, please don't tell us that. Please share that on Facebook to Cotton Cat. The people need to know. The recent London Real Ike interview has been expunged from the internet. London Real has been hit hard. Sadly, they're gaining support from the conspiracy nuts. I didn't take the 5G conspiracy theory seriously until tech infrastructure scientist known genius Eamon Holmes said his inquiring mind meant he couldn't dismiss the theory straight away. Jesus. It's just like, I don't know anything about anything, but I'm going to latch on to this idea. I didn't... did you see the speech from Trump just now? He blamed China and WHO for not stopping. So this is extremely worrying. Okay, so he blames China, and that's sort of normal for his sort of idiotic behavior. Like, even if China are responsible, what good does it do blaming China now? Like, how does that help us? Okay, we have people dying, so maybe, when someone is dying, we should just go to them and say, look, it's China's fault. And this person say, okay, well, that saves me now. So I'm not going to die anymore. Yeah, you're going to die. Okay, and how does you saying it's China's fault help me? Because it's important to know, it's important to know that China's responsible for this. Okay, but are you going to give me the ventilator that I need? Well, no, because we couldn't be bothered getting one. But it's China's fault. Okay, who gives a crap? But as you said, sorry, I want to go back up to what you're saying. Yeah, the problem with the other serious issue is the WHO, that Trump is talking about defunding it, that he's talking about cutting funding for the World Health Organization. Why? Because it makes him look bad. It's not because he thinks they're doing a bad job or they're not, I don't know, somehow cutting money funding for them would help the situation. No, it's because they're making him look bad. So he has to blame someone. Whether he actually goes through with it or not, I don't know. But he needs to distract. He needs to cause a distraction. Max's calendar, a theme here. Oh my god. Max, but they're going on to carry on about those disgusting wet markets. Actually, no, people who think 5G gives you, and they voted Brexit, they're pretty dumb. I think there is a Venn diagram of people who voted for Brexit, who think Donald Trump is a great leader, and probably, I think if you ask somebody who voted for Brexit, do you think there's a connection between 5G and coronavirus? I'm not saying all of them would say yes, but I think a good sizable portion of them would say, yeah, probably. And others would say definitely. And some may even say that Brexit will somehow stop coronavirus. I'm still waiting for Brexiteers to blame the EU for this somehow. And not that the EU didn't do enough, but because they say that the EU have always done too much. The EU is too intrusive, so they can't really say that. They could try and, if they were intelligent, might say that the EU hasn't done enough, but then that's sort of defeating their own argument, because if they say the EU hasn't done enough, but your argument has always been the EU is doing too much. Now, maybe some of them actually believe that this was invented by the EU. I can guarantee there's probably maybe a very small percentage, of Brexiteers, but probably you would find some who would, if you asked them, did the EU you heard that the EU invented the coronavirus? They would say, yeah, probably. They're evil. Nigel has always told me that they're evil, so I wouldn't put it past them. I'm seeing more YouTube channel owners having their content pulled down and or groups targeting sites they don't like. The YouTube algorithms don't appear very smart. It looks very disturbing. So to give you an example, my channel, I haven't been uploading a lot of videos recently, but I've lost a huge number of subscribers. And I've actually noticed that channels that I've been subscribed to, I've lost notifications. So the notifications have been switched off. So I've noticed that when I went to the channel, I'd say, they uploaded new content and I didn't see that. And then I'd look at the bell and the bell was switched off. Now, I don't know if this is related to a messed up algorithm or whether it's because many YouTube is afraid about misinformation regarding the coronavirus, which I understand. And they're looking at channels and saying, look, anyone who isn't quote-unquote reputable channel like CNN or NBC or BBC or whatever, those channels, when they put up content about coronavirus, they're automatically not delisted, but they're put down the ranking. Because if you search for a video, if I put in a title of a video and you search for that exact title, my video will not be the first one. Even if you put in the exact text from the name of the video that I uploaded, you won't always find, it could be on the second or third page, because YouTube do this. they downgrade certain videos because they're political or because they're not from a reputable channel. You missed Conus and his crap tonight. No, I saw some of it. Now he seems to have left, but he'll be back. I let him stay here because he's harmless. He's obsessed with the EU. He's obsessed with everything. If it's raining on a Tuesday, it's the EU's fault. If I think it's a he, I'm not sure. If his wife has left him, it's because it's the EU's fault for that. If his kids got bullied at school, it's the EU's fault. He is a bit obsessed about that. I've never heard him actually say this. The EU has done good in this field, but everything else is bad. At least try and be somewhat open-minded. Anyway, how odd. Did you change your password? No, I didn't see that. Plenty of stupid people who will share everything, even that is clearly nonsense. Yeah. But I know, so my sister-in-law, I just discovered, yes, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, that her boyfriend is really into this 5G coronavirus conspiracy theory. And he believes that I haven't spoken to him because I don't want to, because I'll probably get into a fight with him about this, because I just lose my rag. You say lose your rag. In Italian you say perdo lo schiaffo, which is similar to lose your rag and just go crazy. Because this thing, it just drives me nuts. Because if you want to believe that in your own little world, okay. But the more people who believe it, I think it's almost like a virus. The more people who believe it creates a sort of normality around it, and more people will believe it because other people believe it. They won't question it because a certain number of people believe it already. This is extremely dangerous, and something ridiculous about humans is that certain number of people will believe something, and another group of people will believe that because that first group believe it. So, well, most people believe X. Well, it's probably true. No. First of all, take a step back and say, is there anything rationally justified by X? Is X justified in some way? And if it's not, then no, wait until there's proper evidence to support X. Can we mod removes the bot comments? I find them really annoying. Yeah, please do. Don't worry. If you're a moderator on, you should be also a moderator on the channel. So if you want to delete any comments, feel free. But please don't delete. Don't ban. What's his name? Barry. James Barry. I understand he's extremely annoying, but I don't want to give him the satisfaction of being banned. So if you want to delete some of his comments, if they're completely off the wall, delete the comments, but don't ban him, because I don't want to give him that satisfaction. Farage would have even Groucho Marx on his payment for being MEP. They pay me. They can only be crap. They pay me. They can only be crap. Yes. Let me see. You can talk to him. Probably a flat earther as well. An opinion being popular doesn't mean that the opinion is not stupid. Yes. Nancy Rosenberg had a book titled "A Lot of People Are Saying," that laments on this topic. Haven't read it. Pacman had her on her show. Something is exactly what Trump says. The people are saying. Everyone's saying. Then you ask, no one ever asks him, who are these everyone? Can you name some of them? Of course he doesn't. It's just creating the idea that a certain number of people believe something, so that you don't actually have to defend. You can just resort to those people. So everyone's saying it, then it must be true. I think this calendar talk is impacting your YouTube credibility score. Perhaps, yes, Anthony. That's why we need to stop it now. If you ban Barry, he'll have dozens of others for the same reason. And also, he probably has many other accounts. So you could ban him, and then he'll just appear and he'll go, "Oh, I'm a victim." So deleting comments is okay, but banning people doesn't, unless it gives them a sort of victim mentality. No, we can't ban, but we can remove comments. I haven't yet. Okay. Delete this comment. I like Boris. It's dangerous, that 5G thing. Safe to assume that none of them have a PhD in physics. I doubt many of them would be able to spell PhD. Calendar talk is impacting my sanity. Pac-Man reminded me of Jeremy Paxman. I don't like him, but by fact did he hold people to account. David Pac-Man is an interesting commentator because he never gets angry. He's always calm. He's like a type of Sam Harris in the way that he's completely placid. He never raises his voice. He never loses his train of thought, or he's extremely articulate, and he's a pleasure to listen to. I just find it a bit annoying the way he's constantly asking for money, basically. And I don't want to be a hypocrite here, because I'm saying, if you want to support the stream or whatever, but his is constant. I think I've noticed, maybe he's changed recently, but I did sort of see this way of, he was always asking, there, you can subscribe to the channel and get paid subscription and this, and then there's a Patreon account. Remember the Patreon account? Remember? And there's a constant asking for money, and then and it's also quite annoying at the beginning of the a lot of his videos. There's this in advertisement where he's promoting some product, and it feels so fake. Oh, I learned. I'm learning Italian through some app. You should use this app. Blah blah blah. And maybe it's more an American thing, but I find it extremely annoying, because he has a huge channel. He has a huge number of followers, and fair play to him. Well done for that. But this sort of advertising campaigns at the beginning, I just find them quite a bit obnoxious and annoying. Ireland is currently, so I should shut up probably about that. David Pac-Man is bang on the money. Yeah. Regarding the content, what he says, I agree with him almost 100% of the time. Lost his calmness yesterday when Trump showed a campaign video. Coupon code. Any thoughts on the cross-border infection, etc.? So I'm not, Michael Murphy. I haven't heard about much of the. So yeah, as far as I know, the cases in the Republic are very low at the moment, but in Northern Ireland they're increasing. So what's going to happen there? Will there be border checks put in, not for political reasons but for health reasons? Something that was not really thought about during the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. Pac-Man is turning into a quasi-evangelicalist. Okay. With his plate out. He lives in Boston, so his lifestyle is very expensive. And yes, way too much advertising at Pac-Man. No, like I understand, and I don't want to beat beat a dead horse here or beat a drum about this, but I think he's doing okay. I think he's doing very well. But this advertising thing at the beginning, just keep the Patreon, keep the other ways, and there's advertising on most of the videos as well. And he thinks YouTube is, yes, Magister said, yeah, this is a thing as well. YouTube is always out to get me. YouTube is always out to get me. No, it's not. No, it's a way to maintain this somewhat of a victim status, I think, victimhood status, because it gets people interested in the channel. Oh, look, you need to support me, yeah, because if I agree with you, they're more likely to support you. And he's sort of milking that a little bit. But Sir Antonius Block, welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, I need to go in a little bit, but I'll stay on for another few minutes. I hope you're well. When someone is president of the United States, their authority is total. That I don't know if you were here at the beginning when I was talking about this. The idea that Pac-Man is worth a small fortune, 100+ million. Wow. He has a nationally syndicated radio show, etc. So I was saying about how Trump has said things that were completely against what Republicans were saying just a few years ago. Republicans ran on this idea: we defend the Constitution. We must defend the country against someone like Obama who wants to become a dictator. Obama is exceeding his office, exceeding his remit. And Trump turns around and says, I control everything. I decide when the country reopens. What happened to all the states' rights issues, and what happened to the libertarian wing within the GOP, the conservative, the Republican Party in the US? Complete silence from them. No one said Donald Trump is, overreaching here. Donald Trump is acting like a dictator. Donald Trump doesn't have this power. What Trump is doing is he says this, then he goes on Fox News, he does an interview with people who agree with him, who kiss his arse. I said arse this time, not ass. And they, regurgitate the things that he says. Yes, of course, Mr. President, of course you have this power. And if anyone suggests that you don't, they're a traitor. And maybe if you don't, you should have this power. This is the type of response he receives. And he wants that response from those people. And then it reinforces in his mind that, if I don't have the power, I should have it because I'm Donald Trump. Because I'm doing everything right. This is like something I struggle with is, does Donald Trump truly believe the lies he says? Or has he said it so much that he has convinced himself? Does he truly believe it, or does he know he's lying? Because if you repeat a lie continuously, you yourself at one stage will begin to believe the lie. It happens all the time. You could be telling a story and you change something in the story and it's not true, but you repeatedly tell the story so much that in your mind, maybe subconsciously, you believe, actually, maybe what I changed really did actually happen. And I think Trump is probably something like that, where he believes, I'm the one who can fix the United States. I'm the one who can do it. I'm the most religious person in the United States. I'm the most honest person in the United States. And I don't know if it's because of this narcissistic behavior he has. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. You are the best. I don't know if it's because of that narcissistic personality disorder that forces him to say that he is the best all the time, and he needs this positive feedback all the time from his sycophants. Yes, Donald, you are the best. Yes, you are, and that feeds into him and continues the downward spiral of narcissism. I don't know if that's really the case or what the hell is going on. It's really Trump's enablers that are the problem. Yeah, he would be out of office without them. And he has done this in an extremely, and he's given a perfect example of this favoritism. He's fighting with the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, at the moment, for equipment. New York State doesn't have everything that they need. They have to struggle with the federal government to get what they need. And Cuomo's saying, I'm not going to kiss Donald Trump's arse or ass. I'm going to do the right thing. Now, maybe I'm being overly kind to Cuomo, and Cuomo is playing political games as well. Both of them are politicians. But Trump instead has turned around and given equipment to the governor of Florida, who is a huge fan of Trump. He appeared in a video. This is just insane. It's either insanity or it's cynicism beyond any scale that you can imagine. There's a video, he did a campaign video where he had his child, who was, I think, 6 months old or something, or even less, building a wall with bricks, and they were saying, build the wall, build the wall. There's a picture of the child in those clothes little babies wear. I don't know what you call them. And it's written, Make America Great Again, in red with Make America Great. And in the video, the governor is reading from The Art of the Deal. I think it was from The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump's book. The video is like a parody, but it's not a parody at the same time. If you would imagine it was a parody, you'd imagine it was a Saturday Night Live sketch, but it's actually a real video. And this guy is like kissing Donald Trump's ass. And what happens? He gets everything he wants. He got more than he required because of his relationship with Trump. So Donald Trump is picking favorites here. You kiss his arse, then you get ventilators. If you don't, then you don't. And I hope voters will remember this. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is somewhat fantastic, but the alternative is someone who's a narcissist, who is happy to see people die because he hasn't gotten his compliments. New York has just said that they most likely 3,700 more have died of corona. Imagine poor Melania every morning when he asks her, how does he look? Wig not straight, orange, tan, cream uneven. If she says the wrong, she's done. Hell breaks loose. Yeah, she could end up being a support for an overpass if she says the wrong thing. I'm surprised she hasn't poisoned him or something at this stage. I think she'd be probably given him a medal or something. Wasted and dyslexic. What's that? US President Donald Trump has said that he has instructed his administration to halt funding of the World Health Organization. Thanks for that update, QA Library. So here we go. Because they weren't nice to me. How does this help the situation? How does this... Yeah, it's not because they can't afford it. This is a political decision. I don't know. I really don't know, guys. Trump is going in the completely, trying in completely wrong direction. Think of the worst thing you could do, or the best thing. Think of the best thing you could do, and Donald Trump will do the opposite of that. So we need more ventilators. Okay, we'll send ventilators to the place that don't need them. Okay, we need to give the World Health Organization as much money and resources as possible. Not for us. See, this is the thing about this virus, and this is something I've been talking about before, is we're helping, for example, in the UK, I just read about 1,000 homeless people were given hotel rooms, taken off the streets. Now, we can look at that in one way, and we can say, well, this is good because these homeless people now are no longer well, they're homeless technically, but at least they have a roof over their head. They're in accommodation. But this would only happen because of this virus. You can guarantee if this virus hadn't taken place, those people would still be on the street. So why are the government doing it? Is it to help these people, or is it to protect everyone else? And unfortunately, they're doing it to protect everyone else. They're not there to protect these homeless people or to make the lives of these homeless people better. Because if they did care about homeless people, they would have fixed the homeless problem a long time ago. But they're not. This has pushed their hand, pushed them in this direction. And unfortunately, I think something like this was necessary. And the same now, what's happening in the US with Donald Trump cutting funding for the WHO, what's going to happen? The virus is going to explode in poorer countries, and then it's going to come back. The virus doesn't say, well, I'm going to stay in Africa, or I'm going to stay in South America because, well, I was already in America. Well, I'm not going to go back there again. I'm not going to go back to Europe. No, it doesn't think. It doesn't think at all. It just spreads, and we need to protect poorer people in other countries. Even if you don't care about them, you need, for yourself, if you want to protect yourself, you need to eliminate the virus all over the world. And the idea that we're going to just cut support for the World Health Organization is just insanity once again. Donald Trump doesn't understand this. I don't know if it's Donald Trump that doesn't understand it, or if it's his party, his administration. Like, who's making the decisions here? Trump is just momentarily pissed that the virus taken the spotlight off him. You're joking here, but I think it's probably quite true. He was doing quite well. The economy was doing quite well. Unemployment was down. Everything was going reasonably well in the US. There's still a huge number of problems, but he was quite happy. And then this came along and it destroyed the economy, sent millions back, put millions out of work, showed him to be incapable of doing anything. And, you have these, and he's surrounded by experts that people want, that journalists and the public want to listen to, and not him. So maybe he thinks, if I kill the WHO, then I kill the virus. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, if I defeat the WHO, then I'll defeat the virus, because, I don't know, they can't fight it, then the virus will die or something. I don't know. I'm trying to get inside Trump's head, and it's pretty messy in there. We're in a new world now. China could pay or haircut and humiliate us by doing so. Yeah. And I think China would probably do that. China would say, US don't want to do it, we'll do it. You're suffering from... Thank you, Anthony C. Yes, I need... It's 3 hours now, so I need to go offline. But see, I love doing these live streams. I love chatting with you guys. Trump, I just read this from Josh Dolce. So I have to see it through this way because I can't get on Twitter. Trump has been reading companies and their CEOs who are working with the administration for several minutes, riffing on some of the names. Just met with Sam. Wait, why is the president just reading off the names of companies? He's lost his mind. Democrat Jill Karosvi beat Justice Daniel Kelly for seat on Wisconsin's Supreme Court. Kelly is just the second incumbent state to be voted out since 1967. Justice Kelly was supported by Trump. Fantastic news. Hi, Brenda. Okay, guys, it's after 1 a.m. here, so I would love to go on for more hours. You guys give me energy. you're like 5G antennas. You give me energy. So I'll have to end the stream here. So it was great talking with all of you. It was great reading your comments. Thank you so much for all of your comments. Thanks so much for your donations, very kind donations, especially in this difficult time. I leave the stream up so some of you can still chat away on it. Maybe this will update itself. So have a great night, guys. Thanks again for coming on the stream, and I'll see you guys again hopefully on Friday night. We have another stream on Friday night, probably at the same time or maybe half an hour later. So if you have a chance, do drop by again on Friday. Okay, have a great one, guys. Have a good night. Calendar. Damn, I wanted to get out before the calendar got up. Good night, guys. Take it easy and stay safe.